online. So I would like to start today by giving our land acknowledgement. And this is acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we call home. I also wanted to reference the humanitarian crisis in Turkey and Syria, which I know everyone is very aware of. Of course, this crisis is due to the multiple earthquakes that have occurred there. And a number of Rotary members have already made personal donations, some to ShelterBox, which is an organization that is already on the ground in Turkey and Syria delivering materials. And as we've shared previously, they're also partners with Rotary International, and we have a relationship with them locally with programs and funding. I am really, really pleased to announce that the Seattle Rotary Service Foundation board has recently voted to provide an immediate grant to ShelterBox in the amount of $15,000 to support their efforts in Turkey and Syria. So again, this is an example of where your contributions and support throughout the year, your annual contribution to SRSF makes this kind of thing possible. So thank you for that. And thank you to the SRSF board and its board chair, Sue McNabb, for their leadership in making this happen. So at this time, I'd like to invite club member Joel Padgett to share our inspiration for the day. Joel.
Thank you, Beth. Hi, everyone. In the book of Exodus, chapter 34, it says that God will visit the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the third and to the fourth generation. The meaning of this verse can be debated, but it seems that God will punish each following generation until the lesson has been learned. For example, those with addiction or abuse in their family trees have already had to deal with the consequences of the mistakes of their parents or grandparents. It is not easy, but when people with this kind of family background put in the remarkable effort to live their lives differently, the redemptive work of God shines all the brighter. When we observe brokenness within our families and choose a different path, one aligns with God's redemptive plan for humanity. We can clearly see the loyal love of God. But when each generation fails to learn from the mistakes of their parents, matters only get worse. When I look at my parents' generation, they did not take any action when innocent U.S. citizens of Japanese descent were torn from their business and families and put in internment camps as close as Puyallup fairgrounds. They did not take any action to correct the racial bias in our public schools or to correct the teaching of a white-sided view of history of the U.S. Where were the stories about Juneteenth or Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre or the terror of the Ku Klux Klan? These failures are visited upon my generation and my children's generation. If we sit in silence when there's racial discrimination by our police or discrimination against Muslims who are banned from entering the U.S., future generations will pay the price. God, we pray that we will be proactive in living our lives different from the generations before where they fell short. Give us the courage to do what is right during our generation. Amen.
Thank you, Joel. I appreciate that. I'd like to also thank Jen Gladish for serving as our Zoom host today and Dan Mead-Smith for serving as our meeting reporter. Now, if you attended last week's meeting, you heard my announcement that Mary Goldie has been offered the position of Seattle 4's club director. We're so excited about that, but she was on vacation last week, so wasn't on hand to feel all the love that we had for her. So feel free to offer up your words of support in the chat. And then next week, Mary will have time at the podium to say a few words to the membership. But in the meantime, Mary, will you please introduce our guests who have joined us online today?
Thank you, Beth. Well, today we have Andrew Liu from Ernst & Young. We have Suzanne Griffin and Delinda Wiley on the call. So thank you all for joining us today.
Excellent. Now we are going to hear from the Commodore of Seattle Rotary Mariners. Our Prince of Programs, Ken Grant. Will you please do the honors of introducing our next speaker?
You know, from a sailor to a sailor to a boater to a sailor, I would be humbled to do this. As Steve Morse, as you know, joined our club a couple of years ago. He also joined, here's some interesting stats. He also joined the Seattle Yacht Club when he was 12. He cruised around the San Juans in Canada when he was a child sailing. And I like this the most. Oh, this is cool too. He's a sailing coach for the UW Navy ROTC sailing program. But my favorite, and this is the reason I came to Seattle, is that last year he started racing. That is awesome. So without further ado, I give you our very own member, Stephen Morse.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Great to be here. Let me share my screen and we'll begin. So the Seattle Rotary Mariners, it's an international fellowship. It's founded of Rotary, founded on the idea of boating with fellow Rotarians and friends is a fun way to share ideas, improve seamanship, make lasting friendships, and practice the ideals of Rotary. The Mariners combine acceptance of the principles of Rotary with the love of boats and the sea, and uses the shared interest of yachting and seamanship as an opportunity to foster and encourage the objectives of Rotary. There we go. The International Yachting Fellowship of Rotarians, IYFR, is recognized actually as the largest and oldest of the Rotary fellowships. In 1947, Rotarian John G. Barrett of the Brixton Rotary Club in London was the first to have the idea of a burgee with the Rotary emblem on his vessel. With the help of his nautically inclined fellow Rotarians, they proposed the idea of a new yachting association of Rotarians to Rotary International, and the idea was approved. The newly minted recreational fellowship was formed under the name the Yachting Fellowship of Rotarians. Now the fellowship is comprised of 126 fleets across the world, more than 3,600 members in 44 countries. And in 1956, the International Convention, the first international Commodore from outside Great Britain, was elected to the bridge. And it was also at that time that the fellowship's name changed to the International Yachting Fellowship of Rotarians. And this year's international bridge is David Hansen in Auckland, New Zealand, Angelica Messastrano in Buenos Aires, and Robert Burns in Weymouth Bay in the UK. This is a picture of the Captain's Breakfast hosted last year by Mike and Penny O'Byrne. The Captain's Breakfast is a long story tradition of the O'Byrne family. And it was hosted for all the past Commodores of the Seattle Rotary Mariners. This year's bridge is myself serving as the Commodore this year, Linda Lowry serving as the Vice Commodore, ready to take over the helm next year in the 2023-2024 Rotary year. And then Nicole Klein is serving as Rear Commodore this year, ready to take over in 2024-2025. We organized several fellowship events throughout the year. We went whale watching on the Victoria Clipper, where we found 2 whales feeding under the Tacoma Narrows. We spent an afternoon at Bell Harbor for the Classic Boat Show, hosted by the Classic Yacht Association, preceded by a fellowship at Ivers to fill our tanks for the event. And we organized a party to attend the Seattle Boat Show each year, among other events throughout the year. And of course, we go sailing. So this is Pete Delaney, hosting a beautiful duck dodge race on Lake Union with his granddaughter there, who's already becoming a seasoned skipper and definitely a future Rotary Mariner. Also, Sue Nixon famously hosts a viewing party at her Lake Union houseboat. And this is a photo of Michael Byrne hosting the young Rotary leaders out on Lake Washington on his 40-foot cow, just enjoying everything that this area has to offer. We are connected with the community serving. So this is the UW Navy ROTC program. The Blue and Gold, the Alumni Association, actually purchased a 44-foot sailboat custom built by the Navy from Annapolis, from the Academy, for the Navy ROTC students at the University of Washington to have the same opportunity to learn to sail. Some of the Rotary Mariners are members of the Blue and Gold, and others are coaches. We also support the the Mariners also support the Maritime High School, which is a freshly made newest addition to the Highland School District, and it's a high school that is providing the opportunity for students, especially from underserved areas, a direct path to the Maritime High School, or to the maritime industry. And we've partnered with the Port of Seattle, the Northwest Maritime Center in Fort Townsend, and the Lake Union Dry Dock Company, among other organizations, to make this program a reality. And these are a few extra shots. So this is Nasha, actually out with the UW midshipmen. Apparently this was a few weeks ago, and this is, it was apparently blowing about 20, 25 knots out there. This is George Fudas and his wife at this year's Christmas party, which we hosted at the Seattle Yacht Club's outstation at Elliott Bay Marina. And Jim Fuda out on Lake Union on a boat that you can take out from the Center for Wooden Boats. If you're able to. If you have questions, let me know about that. And thank you. We'd love you to join us. There's no boat ownership requirement to join the Mariners. You just have to be a Rotarian and enjoy the water. And visit us, our Facebook page, the Seattle Rotary Mariners Group, our website, seattlerotarymariners.org, and feel free to email me directly if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. That was fantastic. I loved hearing about all the activities that the Rotary Mariners are doing. All right, so we have a really fantastic program ahead from us, for us. First, you're going to hear from our Rotary Education Committee co-chairs, Lori Walker and Dr. Yvonne Richards, about the work that they're doing, after which Education Committee member Linda Thompson-Black will lead a conversation with Seattle School Superintendent Dr. Brent Jones. So we, in order to give you the most time with all of these folks, I'm just going to hand it off to Lori and Yvonne and let them do the introductions from there. So take it away, folks. Looking forward to this.
Thank you so much, Beth. Yeah, so I am very, very excited for the opportunity to continue to build on this legacy from the Education Committee. The Education Committee continues to promote educational excellence, equity, and justice while strengthening the well-being of our youth and heightening the educational awareness of our Rotary community. So for the past 4 years, we have focused on two main grants, a book grant or a literacy grant, and our partnership with UNCF. With the book grant, we have targeted students tailoring educational justice. We provided culturally relevant media and literature to Title I and elementary schools, specifically third graders. Some of the outcomes of this grant included mainstreaming the students' cultural activities with their friends and family, and increasing reading proficiency. The second grant, our partnership with UNCF, we've cast a wider umbrella. Seattle for Rotary has provided over $112,000 in scholarships, and Rotarians have acted as mentors, sharing their leadership and developmental skills to high school seniors and juniors. Some of the outcome of this grant included that the students will then create their own portfolio towards acceptance to a 2 or 4 year college and or vocational career training. I'm going to invite you to view a short video that gives additional texture to this visionary program.
I want to thank Seattle Rotary Number 4 for collaborating with UNCF on the Portfolio Project and for their vision, commitment, and leadership. They understand the power of scholarships for students of color is life-changing. Scholarships provide low and low net worth students with the educational fuel to succeed. The median net worth for whites is $97,000. For blacks, it's approximately $5,000, and Latinos, $1,300. These are striking differences, revealing why college expenses can be so out of reach for students of color. They share the vision to expand educational opportunities for all and to break the cycle of poverty.
UNCF Rotary partnership is really an important one. We have the Education Committee for many, many years has been giving scholarships to opportunity at-risk students.
And what it's been enabled us to do is impact a larger number of youth in the community. And we have a long history of working with youth in the sense of helping them empower themselves and transform their lives through education and community service.
This year was our kickoff, and we had so many kids that we worked with much more intimately than we have in the past, so Rotary members really got a lot out of this experience. I think the unique part of mentoring for me was that with this program, the Portfolio Project, you really get ingrained in what's happening in these kids' lives at this point of the whole education cycle. So for me, the reward was seeing the success of these kids with all their hard work comes together through this portfolio.
Remember that education is always and always has been a way to reach the American dream. Sadly, though, this has been lacking for communities of color. Our involvement in both support and mentorship of the United Negro College Fund and its programs will help alleviate some of the inequities that exist in our society.
We are not just delivering scholarships to students. We are really teaching those students how to develop themselves and be ready to enter college.
You know, what I learned as a mentor was that I could be a mentor. Because when I first came into this, I was a little hesitant. I've never done a one-on-one mentoring with students before. I found it to be a very exciting experience.
Hello, my name is Alana Gianni White.
Ismail Mohammed.
Robert Willis.
I'm Soleil White, and I will be attending Central Washington University, University of Washington,
Howard University,
Seattle University.
And I will be attending Norfolk State University.
Thank you, Seattle Rotary number 4.
For contributing to brighter futures.
We
are grateful
for your support
and mentorship that this organization has provided.
We are the future.
We are the next generation. We are the next generation.
We are the next generation of leaders.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to hear from Mark. He is also one of our committee members, and he's going to share his experience as a mentor with the program.
Hi, thanks for the introduction, Yvonne. This last fall, I had the privilege of being a mentor in the UNCF Portfolio Project. Before we started, I had a lot of doubts. I wasn't sure I'd be able to help that much, being so many years away from college applications myself, or if I could connect meaningfully with the kids. But I have to say that by the end of it, I think it ended up being one of the most rewarding volunteer experiences that I've had in my life. The students I mentored, I had 5 of them, were motivated, creative, self-aware, all critical thinkers. These students were balancing the portfolio project and their college applications with schoolwork, jobs, sports, other organizations that they participated with. So these are busy students. For me, 2 of the parts that stood out the most in the program were the essay. So we did a lot of work working on college essays and an oral presentation they gave at the end of the project in front of their community and all the other students in the program. And those stand out the most for me. Every one of my students took their essay prompts, and I thought we'd have trouble with this, but they understood them intimately. And I thought this was kind of where self-awareness and critical thinking was really shining through. Most of my coaching there was to help them get through the awkwardness of talking about themselves, sharing personal stories, which everybody's probably familiar with. And they just worked through it. I just ended up adding polish, helping with essay structure, word choice here and there. But the students did all of the heavy lifting themselves. The presentation part felt more like the kind of thing I would be doing at work. So getting the deck prepared, reviewed, updated, coaching the students about this, and it felt like I was coaching staff at work. We talked about preparation, beating stage fright, presenting a professional image, eye contact, practicing their slide transitions, things like that. And seeing them eventually get up in front of the group and just crush these presentations with these professionally done decks was unbelievable. So anyways, if you're looking for the right volunteer opportunity to use your professional or academic experience and just give direct help to students, I think this is a good choice. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Mark, for sharing that, sharing your wisdom and experience as a mentor. let me get back to the slides. During the final presentations, I heard so many praises from the students that you mentored. And I know that you made an impact. So thank you so much. So I want to just talk a minute about what we're doing looking ahead with the Education Committee. And we are seeking new ways of impacting emerging readers by participating in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library Program. This program supplies one book each month to children from birth to age 5 to increase their positive attitude and motivation for reading and improve literacy readiness when they enter kindergarten. We also seek to expand our involvement with UNCF and are joining forces with the newly formed Education Committee at University Rotary with our former Seattle 4 Rotarian, Suzanne Griffin. How can you get involved? You can be a mentor like Mark to a student or several students in the portfolio program that we do each fall. You can participate in the UNCF Career Fair and share your passion and experience with your career to motivate students and help them learn about the options. And you can also join our Education Committee and shape our future. Thanks so much, Rotarians, for your generous support to SRSF. We couldn't do this work without the donations that you do. And if you haven't given to SRSF yet, please do so as soon as possible. Part of the purpose of our education committee is to bring educational awareness to all of you. So the next part of our program is a conversation with Dr. Brent Jones, Seattle Public Schools Superintendent, led by Seattle Rotarian and UNCF Area Director Linda Thompson Black. Linda is an alumnus of Franklin High School and the University of Washington. So she's born and bred here in Washington State. And a little known fact is that Linda used to babysit Dr. Jones when he was young.
That is so funny.
Take it away, Linda.
Well, thank you for sharing that little known fact. Our families have been friends for many years, and I am so proud of Brent and the work that he is doing for Seattle Public Schools. So I'm very excited to have this conversation with him today. Superintendent Jones, are you on the phone? Are you on the Zoom?
I am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And I would like to welcome Superintendent Jones. We are very excited that you're here with us today. It's fitting that you are joining us during Black History Month. I want to thank you for your leadership and being committed to the very difficult work of leading a major urban public system during these very challenging times. So would you share just a little bit about yourself, and then I will ask you the first question.
Well, Rotarian Walker already spilled the beans that you were my babysitter. And so by way of association, I'm from Seattle. I went to school here in Seattle. My mother was a teacher in the Seattle Public School District. And I'm also a graduate of Seattle Public Schools, Franklin High School as well. Yeah, and my daughter recently graduated from Cleveland High School. And so I'm all in on Seattle. And I've been here the duration of my life, and I'm dedicated to this mission around public education. And so I started my position as superintendent in May of 2021. And we're almost 2 years in, and I'll tell you a little bit about the challenges and the opportunities as we go through this. But I really appreciate the partnership and the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you so much. So the first question is, will you share what the state of Seattle Public Schools is? What are your strategic initiatives? What are your challenges and successes? And you have 5 minutes. I know that's a lot, but I know you'll clip through it.
Yeah, I only have about 45 minutes of pros here that I'm gonna go through, but let's distill it down to 5. You know, Seattle Public Schools, we're the largest K-12 school system in Washington State. We have 106 schools. We have more than 50,000 students. We have a $1.2 billion budget. So we are a big entity, and we have a lot of different moving pieces. Our student body represents over 151 different countries and live in homes that speak more than 147 different languages. And more than 30% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch and various services. Our district is one of the first in the nation to acknowledge the failure of education to educate some of our students. And we've done that in a bold way. We've embedded that in our strategic plan. But one of the things that I want to highlight, about 10 years ago, we came up with a policy 0030. We're the second district in the nation to come up with such a policy. And this is our policy to ensure educational and racial equity. And some of the contents of that policy require us to make pathways to success, to have a diverse workforce, to engage community, to have partnerships, to have equitable access to great opportunities. And my job as a superintendent is to create the condition for all of our students to thrive. And so we are actively, as the title of this section that you have here today, we are actively working to disrupt legacies of racism, but really focus on premier outcomes for our students. Many of our students are doing exceptionally well. Many of our students are thriving. I'd say a majority of our students are, but systemically, we have not done what we need to do to make sure our students have access to premier, high thriving opportunities. And so a couple of successes that we've had over the last several years. One is our strategic plan. We developed a strategic plan that's really focused, and this is focused on students of color, furthest from educational justice. We have very specific outcomes that we've articulated. We've even had the audacity to center African-American males in our targeted outcomes and goals. Our graduation rates for the last 3 years for African-American males have increased by over 10%. We've had expansion of Head Start and preschool programming from 30 programs to 54 programs. We've developed a liberatory education suite of courses that are really culturally responsive to our students. And since 2019, we've doubled the number of Black boys and teens participating in advanced learning and highly capable services. So those are some things that we're really doing well. Some structural things that you would want to know about. My relationship with the school board is fantastic. That's not precedented. We haven't had that in the last several years. We have a really good relationship with our labor partners, as you might think, because we had a strike several months ago that we were in a competition. We're not. We all see the same vision. We also have a really strong relationship with the city of Seattle and Mayor Harrell's office. And so one of the things that we're really keen on is partnerships. And so partnerships with the Rotary and the UNCF and those type of things are really key to our success. Some of the challenges that we have are really trying to focus on the main thing. Our main thing is around teaching and learning, but we've been forced to be a public health agency, deal with food insecurity, social media, mental health, and all those type of things are really important. That's our social safety net. We're trying to make sure we're supporting our students, but focusing on teaching and learning has been very difficult with all the other pieces. And more recently, we are really faced with a structural budget deficit. So those are some things that we're working on right now, but I think we're focused on the right things. It's just a matter of having the time, the resources, and the energy to proceed to create this climate where all of our students can thrive. So I'll stop right there. I might be over my 5 minutes, but we'll go on to the next question. Thank you so much.
You are amazing. You are right on time. And thank you for that incredibly thorough, thoughtful overview of what's going on. The next question is, why are partnerships such as UNCF important to Seattle Public Schools, along with the scholarships provided by the Rotary?
Well, we have, believe it or not, we have over 300 partnerships with different entities with Seattle Public Schools. But the UNCF partnership is unique and powerful for a couple of reasons. One, it articulates a pathway to success. And along that pathway, the UNCF program provides navigation support. As you know, a lot of our first generation students going to college don't know how to navigate the bureaucracies. And so what you all have been doing with that program is to really, as I think Mark was talking about, do deep dives into what does it take to be successful, and stay with the student and persist and have consistent and predictable outcomes for the students. They get to see other students progressing that look like them. I think that identity safety means a lot. And to be intentional about setting up those situations is powerful. The clear focus on what outcomes we're talking about. We're talking about developing a college-going culture. And that laser focus is really good in terms of a partnership. We can know what to expect. But again, I think the structure and the consistent and predictable aspect of what's happening with the UNCF program is really the most powerful piece. And so from the summer internships to preparing to go to college, to the support financially, to the mentoring support, all of those things in combination have been tremendous. And so those are the type of partnerships we like. Those are what I would call our platinum partners as we move forward through this. And so I give Linda, you the credit for setting that up, but also the Rotarians for coming alongside and supporting that.
Thank you so very much. We really appreciate it, and it really helps for you to share why it's important. So our next question is, what strategies are you employing to close the education gap? And how can we support you in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, again, we're doing so many things, but I think from a high level, we have a strategic plan that I mentioned that is very focused. We have a strategic plan that focuses on three main goals: an elementary goal, a middle school goal, and a high school goal. And these all build upon each other. And each one of these goals are focused on African-American boys in the third grade, making sure that they meet reading standards. In seventh grade, as they become teens, it's focused on making sure they meet math standards. And as they get to high school, this is where the UNCF program comes into play, is making sure our students have enough credits and they're taking at least one advanced course during their high school career. We believe that the reading to the math to the college and career readiness sets them up for post-secondary success. And so we've codified this in our strategic plan. These are part of our goals. And our board has given me these goals. And my job is to make sure that the systems are in place to execute on these goals. We're using a strategy called targeted universalism. Targeted universalism is saying we have a universal goal for all of our students, but the students that have not met that target, that goal, those are the ones that we target in terms of making the system improvements so that those students can meet the targets. What we do is understand what the system impediments are, what the system barriers are, and if we resolve those for the students who are furthest from meeting the goal, then we believe we've improved the entire system. So we're using targeted universalism as our baseline for how we're approaching the work. We also have special programs such as our African American Male Achievement Office. That also provides another set of very targeted strategies to ensure we make sure that our students who we say are the target in our strategic plan are supported. It's supported with intentionality, supported with identity safety, supported with mentoring, supported with classroom supports, so that they can, again, progress through the system. As we think about equity in 2023, I think we've done a good job at Seattle Public Schools. We've been leaders in terms of understanding and naming the issues. But now in 2023, it's about outcomes. We've been able to have a beautiful narrative. We've been able to be bold and say what our challenges are. We've been able to identify and analyze the different gaps. But now that's not enough. Now we're saying we need to be have accountability for outcomes. And so that's all built into our strategic plan, that's built into our programming, and all of our leaders, and we're all learning and transforming in real time around how do we move from describing the problem, analyzing the problem, to actually having outcomes. And so that's what you see in store for the next several years. And so we're looking to involve families, we're looking to involve community, we're looking to have partners, we're looking to have philanthropy, all invest in the innovation, the helping us to fill the gaps, and really just being a vocal support for us. I think we have a tremendous product at Seattle Public Schools, and I think we need some more champions to really talk about that. So I'll stop right there, and then I know you all have an aggressive agenda, and maybe we'll have time for some questions.
You did a marvelous job. You spoke our love language of succinctness, but we heard everything that we needed to hear. I'm excited that you were able to join us so that our wonderful Rotary Club can hear how lucky we are to have the school system that we do and to have your leadership. I know I loved my time in Seattle Public Schools. It was really joyful. I felt I was in a great environment. I was telling Lori that an educational change team from Detroit came. We were the most diverse school in the country to, our 206 zip code. Yeah. And we had national merit scholars, and we had a world-class debate club. And so Seattle Public Schools has really shaped me. And I'm so grateful that we are in great hands with you. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Ken, and Ken is going to facilitate questions from our Rotary Club. We know how busy you are, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate you spending some time with us.
Fantastic.
I will mirror that comment. Oh, sorry, go ahead, please, Dr. Jones.
No, I understand there's some questions in the chat. I'm not tracking that, so I'm hoping that you all are.
That's why I get paid the mediocre bucks to track so that you don't have to. Although I will say that if you've got a couple of minutes after we're done, you might want to read some of that chat, because not the questions, but the kudos to you and your team. There's a lot going on. So we'll start with the compliments. And I personally have learned a new couple of words called targeted universalism. I want to see if I can use that somehow in a sentence in the next week, and that will become my own personal education. Dr. Jones, thanks for being here. All right, so we got a bunch of questions, and I'm most curious about this one too, having lived here for a few years. Curious about your vision for the Memorial Stadium rebuild project.
Yeah, so we have. I played football there many moons ago. As an older adult, I played soccer there, and it's due for an upgrade. So we bottom line, we need to make sure that structure is safe. At the same time, we've been working in partnership with the city of Seattle and some developers to really talk about what are the opportunities for Memorial Stadium to be really a place where we can bring people together, enhance Seattle Center, and really have this be a beacon of excellence for the city. There's an opportunity as things emerge, like the World Cup coming, that we can maybe have a facility that could really host something like a worldwide event, such as, again, the World Cup. Concerts, all these type of things. We want to have this public-private partnership that really is helpful to bringing that revitalization back to downtown, as Mayor Harrell talked about yesterday in his city address. And so we are just been in good partnership with the city. We've been going back and forth on language around what this could look like, what this could be. So I think we do have a shared vision that this will be of value to the community. So my vision is something that really makes sure that students have access to the arts and culture and sports, but at the same time, having a really safe and building that has high utilization. So that's it. Nothing really sexy about that, but it's something that the community really needs and business will embrace.
Forgive my ignorance. Do you own the property as the school district?
Yes, we do.
All of it. I mean, how many people then knock on your door every day to redevelop it?
we have quite a few, but there's some big dollars attached, so not too many people can knock on the door and actually get our attention yet.
But that's not one of the options by the sounds of it. I mean, you want to do something good with it.
No,
it's not to say the developer's not good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So speaking of developers, no, that's not true. Speaking of money, what are you doing to deal with the budget deficit?
Well, I need the Rotary to write a check with several zeros. And if you think that was enough, add a few more zeros. But frankly, we've had our enrollments going down, that's our revenue, and our expenditures are going up. And so our required mission is to submit a balanced budget every year. And last year we had the opportunity with federal funds, state funds, to really plug the gap, but we had an emerging structural deficit prior to last year. And so we have to just good old fashioned lower our spending. And at the same time, we need to try to recoup some of the enrollment loss that we've had. So in other words, make sure that our families that want to come to Seattle Public Schools don't have any barriers to come to Seattle Public Schools, because that is our only revenue source. And so until we can do that, and it looks like all the demographic data shows that for the next 7 to 8 years, that enrollment's going down. And that's just not us, that's the region and nationally. And so we're trying to do what we can to preserve teaching and learning. We're trying to hold schools harmless as much as possible, but we're starting with central office, and we're going to do some reductions here, unfortunately, but that's what we need to do. So it's going to be a multi-year process for us getting our budget right-sized to our revenue.
Okay. What are you doing for students who need special education? And maybe you could explain to some of us what special education means.
Yeah, so we are leading with our labor partners an effort to have more inclusion. And inclusion is really making sure that our students that have special and unique needs get those needs and are in our general education classes. You might have heard about this term years ago called mainstreams, but this is really having equal participation in the most highest quality instruction. And we have done a lot recently to understand what the issues are around our students that have special needs, them getting the services that they need in the time that they need them comprehensively. And we're trying to be much more intentional about that. It's not a compliance issue for us, it's an equity issue for us. And so we've been pushing for this last year to ensure that we are having inclusionary practices across the board for our students to have that happen to have special needs. There's some bills in the legislature right now that are trying to give us the funding that we need to make this happen. They're struggling to get that across the line. So if you all have influence on that, it'd be great that you can exert that influence. But nonetheless, we're still committed to making sure our students have what they need to be successful.
All right. There's probably some people here today that can help you. What specific programs have you and your team put in place to serve the ever-increasing low-income students?
Yeah, we have definitely a focus on what we're calling students of color furthest from educational justice. And in that, We're looking at students who have historically not had the means to access programs, to know how to navigate. Similar to how I was giving kudos to the UNCF program, we're trying to make sure that we have pathways that are illuminated and that are clear and that have adults navigating on behalf of students that may not have access to these highest quality programs. And so our students that have typically not had as high of academic success, that's because we haven't really put the intentionality in the programs that we offer. And so in ninth grade, for example, we have what's called a ninth grade success tracker. And that ninth grade success tracker really makes sure our students are on track, regardless of where they are academically or where they are economically, that students have an illuminated pathway and they can make it through our gauntlet of bureaucracy so that they can get to the other side to be successful in career and life. And so we have lots of programs and a focus on ensuring that each kid has a high quality education.
And here I was just glad it was Wednesday. You're slaying it over there, man. That's incredible. I can't even fathom half of what you must do in a day. All right, we got time. We got 2 minutes for 2 questions. Ready for this? It's the lightning round, as they say. Are there partnerships you have with industries and businesses that motivate and inform students about career opportunities?
You said that quickly. Say it one more time, please. I missed it.
Said it like an auctioneer, didn't I?
Yes.
Are there partnerships you have with industries and businesses to motivate and inform students about career opportunities?
Yeah, we have one unique partnership that I'll highlight. We have one with Amazon, and they're trying to help us to make sure that our students are on track to get roles in the tech industry regarding software engineering, computer programming, and the like. And really, it's a program that we've started organically. Amazon came alongside and helped us to do that. We're looking for more of those type of partnerships that, again, have pathways for our students to really take on these high-paying, high-wage jobs post their secondary experience.
All right. And I think this might be our last one. Let's see how well we do. How much of an impact on the budget does the increased need for security and safety measures at schools have?
Yes. So we, as I mentioned, and one of the challenges that we have is we've become an entity that needs to really double down on on safety. A lot of our practices that we can shore up don't really cost money. There's some things that we can do to increase safety and create a more welcoming environment for our students. But anytime that we're taking that we have to shrink our budget down, that takes away from some of the things that we want to do that are innovative and creative. But we think that safety and security is one of the pieces that we have to fund. And so as we think about these budget cuts going forward, safety and security is not going to be an area where we reduce. And so it's going to be tough in other areas, but not in safety and security.
I'm going to slip in a 30-second answer for this. What are your thoughts on standardized testing, and what do you think is the best metric to measure the success for all students?
I'm agnostic about standardized testing, but what I'm not agnostic is about having a measure for our students being successful. And so I can argue with the best of them, pro or con standardized testing, but until we have a system of assessment and measurement that really tracks the progress of our students, we will use our standardized testing methods. And so I think they can always be improved, but I just want us to be really clear that we need to measure progress of our students. And so some of these aren't normed properly yet to the level that's going to satisfy everyone, and that's fine. We'll continue to improve there, but we do have to have measures of the outcomes for our students. And so I believe in it to that extent.
Dr. Jones, thank you so much for coming in today. We know that your time is precious and you brought such interesting and phenomenal information. So thank you. Thank you to Linda. Thank you to Laurie. Thank you to Yvonne. And thank you to Mark. This has been a very complex yet very illuminating presentation. So thanks so much, Dr. Jones.
Thank you all. Take care. Hope to talk to you soon.
Take care. Thank you. And Dr. Jones, just want to echo my gratitude for you being here and the entire Education Committee. We appreciate the time that you engage with all of the business and community members who are invested in Seattle's education system. And in the recognition of the generosity of your time, Seattle 4 will contribute to Harvest Against Hunger, which provides healthy meal components to food banks. And 600 servings of healthy produce will be given in your name. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Very
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
Thanks for being here. I'd like to also thank Seattle Rotary's gold sponsor and long-standing member of Seattle 4, Bob Alexander. Thank you for your support. And I'm going to turn it over now to our co-VP of membership, John Steckler, who has a few announcements to share with you on membership engagement. John.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all again. I got a few announcements for you. First slide. Don't forget this Friday, Harvest Against Hunger's annual budget and banquet, and event is coming up. Hearts and wine, two things that are near and dear to many of us, our heart and wine. So it's going to be a great event. Our own Sue Nixon will be providing the entertainment. Mark Wright is going to be the MC. It's going to be a wonderful event for some fellowship with your fellow Rotarians. I do also want to give another shout out to the Seattle Opera, 1,000 Splendid Suns, this matinee performance on Sunday, March 5th. If you call and you make reservations and you say you're with Seattle 4 Rotary, guess what? You're going to get a 30% discount price on your tickets. One more chance to get out and spend some time with your fellow Rotarians. Next up, we have a couple of changes here. I want to make a note right away. Our ethnic dinner, our Lebanese dinner that we had, has had to make a date change. It's now going to be on Wednesday, March 22nd, but it's going to be just as spectacular. You're going to get a guided tour with your own private guide taking you through all these wonderful Lebanese menu items. Thank you, Fedva Dickman, for doing this. The price is $50 a person. Please keep in mind, these always fill up. So if you're interested, call right now, and put your name on the list, RSVP to fedmandickman@hotmail.com. And last, we have a new event. Thank you. Thank you. Our young Rotary leaders have put together an escape room night at the Hourglass Escapes. This is fun. Now you'll notice in the picture on your screen, there is a number of young people in this room enjoying an escape room. What they really need is some seniorish type people like myself to come in and balance out the age skew. So come on, Rotarians, sign up and join us for this wonderful event. There'll be a little bit more information in your totem, but it is always a sold out event for an escape room. It's a great chance for all Rotarians to come together and have some fellowship. Again, enjoy your Seattle Rotary Club. It's more than just the 500 members. It's these wonderful 30 member events that bring us together and develop those relationships. And with that, I'm going to turn it over now to the P of P, the Prince of Programs, or whoever he is, Mr. Ken Grant.
The P of P. I like the fact that you said gate change. I'm going to have to use that in a sentence somewhere this week too. All right, so we transition out of Black History Month today into Women's History Month next week and next month. So we're going to kick things off with our very own, well, she used to be a member. I guess she's not a member anymore. Lisa Bridge, introduced to us by John Bridge, celebrating 110 years of retail success and what the next 110 years might look like. That's at the Rainier Club, so mark your book for that. Then the head of the Mariners. This was explained to me this week because I am seriously a novice that there's the head of the Mariners on the grass and then there's the head of the Mariners in the office. Katie Griggs will be speaking to us because she's the president of business operations, all about our very own Seattle Mariners. That's the second week. That will be at the Westin. Mark your book for that. That's a conversation also with our very own Mark Wright, so that'll be awesome. And then just in case you know someone that has been thinking about going on a board, too scared to go on a board, really should be going on a board, and they are female, we've got a great conversation happening that says Colleen Griggs. That's really not true. That would be Colleen Brown, who's going to be coming and chatting with us about the future of boards and how it is influential to have women on boards, because there's still a lot of boards in the world that are just purely men. And then the last Wednesday of next month, Zoom only, will be our very own Dorothy Bullitt. And this is interesting. She has a collective 130 years, over 4 generations of female leadership. So we can't wait for that. That will be on Zoom. Again, thank you all so much for being here. President Beth, back to you.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. And thank you, John. Okay, so we are going to wrap up our meeting. And as always, I like to leave you with a few sports highlights to take you into the weekend. So our Seattle Kraken dropped to 3rd place in the Pacific Division standings, but tomorrow night they host the Boston Bruins at Climate Pledge Arena. And while the Bruins lead the league by quite a bit, the Kraken actually handed the Bruins their first loss in regulation time a few weeks ago in the Boston Garden. So we may get to see history repeat itself with another big win. Now, the new XFL Seattle Sea Dragons, they kicked off their season last week, and they had an away game for their first game. Unfortunately, they lost in Washington, D.C. to the Defenders, but now they have the chance to redeem themselves for their first home game at Lumen Field on Thursday night against the St. Louis Battlehawks. So that's tomorrow night. Now, the XFL has brought some really creative rules into football, making the XFL really entertaining sport to watch. And I will tell you that the tickets at Lumen Field are very reasonable. So if you're looking for a night out, it's a great opportunity with the Sea Dragons. Now, lastly, if you want to impress your family or friends, I have a really fun sports story to send you home with. Last weekend, the men's and women's basketball teams for both the University of Washington and Washington State University found lightning in a bottle when all 4 teams each swept their games against both Oregon and Oregon State. Now you do the math. That's a lot of games and a lot of wins for Washington schools. Really impressive stat for our Division I basketball teams here in Washington. So in the spirit of our education theme today, I will leave you with a quote from Ken Griffey Jr. "I never lose. Either I win or I learn." Meeting adjourned. Great to see everybody today.